When a TPM stays calm, it does more than stabilize his or her own decision making. It signals to the rest of the team that someone is in control. It creates a psychological safety. It allows engineers and stakeholders to stay focused on solutions instead of spiraling in uncertainty. I'm going to give you 5 tools or techniques that helps in this situation. The first one is the OODA loop or OODA loop. This is a technique that I came across late in my career. It was developed by the US Air Force. And this framework helps you respond quickly without overreacting. It does so through the acronym of those letters. So the first one being observing. What's the situation right now? Gather facts, not fears. Orienting. How does this align with what you know? Systems, team capabilities, priorities. Deciding. Choose a course of action based on the data, not the emotion. And acting. Execute, then loop again as a new input arrives. Number 2, thinking backwards from failure. Inversion asks, what would cause this to fail? So instead of focusing on building the perfect solution, it helps TPMs to avoid disaster by planning against the worst case outcome. So during a pre-launch planning, instead of just asking, how do we go live? You can ask, what would cause this launch to fail? How can we preempt this scenario? What signals should we watch for? So it's almost like instead of having a post-mortem, you're having a pre-mortem. It sounds very pessimistic, but by playing devil's advocate here, you can apply this model during war rooms, pre-mortems, and post-mortems, or just within operational readiness reviews. Number 3, first principles thinking. Cut through the noise when teams and programs are overwhelmed by complexity. TPMs can use first principles thinking, something made famous by Aristotle as well as more recently by Elon Musk, to allow you to break things down into its most basic components. And this isn't something new if you come from engineering. It's a systems design mindset. So one of the examples that Elon Musk came across was during SpaceX. When he initially founded the company, his goal was to reduce the amount of costs to launch a rocket to space. So instead of accepting at face value what the going rate is for this, he asked, what are the fundamental components required to build a rocket? He calculated the basic cost of each raw material, aluminum, copper, and all that. And he found out that the total cost of these was a fraction of the price typically charged by aerospace companies. So reframing can prevent escalation into a fire drill and helps focus on solvable root issues. Number 4, circle of control. Focus on what you can influence. This is borrowed from Stephen Convey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So this model differentiates between what you can control and what you can influence and what's out of your hands. So I'm a huge fan of this. It helps me mentally reconcile and acknowledge what I can control. So let's say a VP just reprioritize your team's roadmap. You can't control that, but you can control your reaction and messaging and influence timelines by pressing trade-offs clearly. Ignore emotional reactions you cannot change. Number 5, probabilistic thinking. Stay objective in ambiguity. We often face situations with incomplete data and must weigh multiple unknowns. This is where probabilistic thinking comes in. It helps you estimate through the likelihoods and making decisions accordingly, not waiting for certainty. So there are similar models around like the 80-20 rule or Pareto principle. So the skinny of this is roughly 80% of outcomes result from 20% of causes. As an example, if a system dependency is 70% likely to be delivered late, do you wait for confirmation and delay mitigation, or start a parallel risk assessment from now? So the aim of this is to not go down the stress rabbit hole, but to maintain momentum through structured risk management.